Welcome, everybody. Get in here. Let's just talk about it. Okay, we're gonna have to make some changes. It turns out that the American people are they're done. They're done being gaslit, and we're gonna have to let some of you guys go. You know, they say that if you tell a lie repeatedly over and over again, that people they start believing it. And so that's what we were doing, and they don't believe it. So ratings are down. They're really, really down. Like, I don't even think anyone's watching us anymore.
What's going on, guys? We got to talk about fake news CNN. Okay, legacy news network crying, Negro network CNN failing miserably because they have had to lay off 200 employees. Okay, this network is dying. What they're trying to do, they're trying to move away from a broadcast strategy, which is basically watching on TV, to a more digitized strategy, which is competing more so with people like me, right? That's what they're trying to do, because they're sitting up here paying people top dollar, and they're not really getting, one, views, and two, they're not getting any money in return, which is freaking hilarious. But the reason is not just because times are changing. It's because, if you couldn't tell by how obvious it is actually watching CNN and the title, thumbnail, intro, is that these guys are completely fraudulent. Just look at the type of stuff that was said in the past during the BLM riots, or by Jim Acosta, Mr. extremely Trump deranged Jim Acosta in the past.
This is not Fox, Congressman. You can't just spin a tail and pull the wool over people's eyes. Yeah. This is CNN. This is the news. We're asking you to come on and tell the truth. It's an alarming choice for a man who has often struggled to unequivocally denounce white supremacists. You recall these moments.
But you also had people that were very fine people on both sides.
Those words have power. They have meaning. And when Donald Trump speaks, the world listens. Neo-Nazis and white supremacists certainly listen. So why can't he denounce them? Why can't he reject their support?
And you had people, and I'm not talking about the neo-Nazis and the white nationalists, because they should be condemned totally.
What's your response to Donald Trump saying she should be fired, that Liz Cheney should be fired upon? He keeps speaking in these very extreme terms about the potential dangers to the country if he doesn't win in November. He's used words like bloodbath.
I want to be clear in how I characterize this. This is mostly a protest. It is not generally speaking unruly, but fires have been started. It is not generally speaking unruly.
What you're seeing behind me is one of multiple locations that have been burning in Kenosha, Wisconsin over the course of the night, a second night since Jacob Blake was seen shot, and into the early evening, which were largely peaceful demonstrations in the face of law enforcement.
These guys are laughable. You literally got buildings burning down behind you in the background. It looks like a beautiful sunset, except it's not the sun. It's literal fire, smolders and ashes and smoke still coming from the buildings live. But oh, trust me, it was mainly peaceful. It was mainly peaceful. There was just a couple rogues burning down buildings. Trust me, these people are completely ludicrous. But on a recent Fox News segment, this one anchor completely went off, exposing the network for all the same.
News Tonight Common Sense Department wonders if CNN has finally decided that trashing Trump 24/7 is bad for business. Turns out CNN boss Mark Thompson reportedly had to warn his lead anchors, Jake Tapper, Anderson Cooper, and dozens of other journalists not to, quote, express outrage during the Trump inauguration. Common sense thinks when you have to order your journalists to be fair, it's bad for journalism. It's bad for business. Maybe that's why CNN's anti-Trump anchor Jim Acosta was left off CNN's new programming schedule. Maybe that's why CNN had to fire hundreds of employees. Maybe that's why CNN is overhauling its lineup. But here's the weird thing. CNN is changing its lineup, but is not changing its dead last in ratings primetime lineup. And Chief Executive Mark Thompson is now promising to steer CNN away from its reliance on traditional television. So CNN is steering clear of television because the country is steering clear of CNN on television. Seems short-sighted, like selling tequila but swearing off bottles. I mean, it's totally fine to pivot toward the digital future, but presently, people still watch television. Common sense thinks the former most trusted name in news failed to learn the big lesson of last year's election, which is when all you do is trash Trump, you go the way of Biden-Harris.
On top of destroying their own credibility day after day after day, you also have the poetic justice of Donald Trump rising from the ashes of the fake news, because on top of the radical left Democrats being completely obliterated, rebuked, and destroyed in this epic Donald Trump sweep of an election, the fake news, our mortal enemy, is also flabbergasted, stunned that Donald Trump is rising up in popularity greater than ever before, while they're losing jobs, cutting anchors from their top slots. It is glorious. And this woke behind anchor, this rude lady, Kate Bolduan, this lady literally refuses to believe it. This guy, the numbers guy over here at CNN, she refused to believe his numbers because Donald Trump's approval ratings at an all-time high. This is freaking hilarious. Let's get into this.
Look, the American people really like what they're seeing, at least compared to where Donald Trump started 8 years ago, right? All right, this is Donald Trump's net approval rating. This is Reuters Ipsos. It's among adults. It was taken the first few days of this administration. Look here. Back in January 2017, Donald Trump became the first president in history to start his presidency with a net negative approval rating. Look at where we are now in January 2025. Considerably better at plus 6 points. That's up 9 points. To borrow a Donald Trump phrase, this is big league. This is a sign that the American people, at least initially, like what they're seeing. And so you see right here, more Americans approve of Donald Trump's job than disapprove, and that is very much unlike what we saw 8 years ago.
So compare the rating now to the entire first term.
Yeah, so it's not just that he's doing better than where he was doing 8 years ago. It's that he's doing better than he ever did during his entire first administration. So I again look.
He never was over plus 3.
He was never over plus 3. The highest rating his highest ever net approval rating was plus 3 in March of.
Your choice of photo is quite.
He likes
amazing.
What he's seeing. He's smirking at the American media.
He just doesn't like you.
Maybe not. Although he should like these numbers and the way I'm presenting them. You look at January 2025. Look at that again. You get plus 6. So Donald Trump isn't just in a better position than he was 8 years ago at this point. He's in a better position than he was at any point during his entire first term. Things have very much turned around. This is a very different Donald Trump. He's leading a very different administration the way he's attacking things. And the American public is very much more in line with him than they were at any point during his entire first term.
I would say, correction, this is not a very different Donald Trump. This is a very different Donald Trump as being viewed by voters in this
in the way he's going about things with Susan Wiles leading things.
I would disagree. I definitely think that Donald Trump is very different than he was before. I think this guy is on a freaking mission. This dude is like a bullet train. Before, he had to kind of figure some things out. What should I do? What should I not do? But now this guy is a seasoned veteran, and he's not here to play no game.
I think he's, going at things in a much less disorganized fashion, much more organized.
Take me back in history.
Take you back in history. So it was so interesting to me that Donald Trump's first net approval rating of his second term is higher than his entire first term. And I was interested, has that ever happened?
Wait a minute,
the second term approval rating of the second term is higher.
Look at this lady face. Like, she's like, you see her freaking jaw. She's like sucking on her lip or something. She is so salty. Oh, man, it's so glorious. Would you like fries with that?
Than his entire first term. And I was interested, has that ever happened? Has the second term net approval rating in the first month, have you ever had a higher rating than any net approval rating during the entire first term? Donald Trump is the only.
I have a hard time believing this.
This is 100% true. I went back. I love spreadsheets. Donald Trump's is the first guy ever whose net approval rating in the first month of his second term is higher than any rating that he had as an entire first term, Kate Bolduan. This is true. I don't make stuff up. The numbers are the numbers.
She rolling her eyes.
I believe you in nothing except when you have it in the wall, and then I believe everything.
This lady cannot handle the truth. Okay, she can't handle that Donald Trump's being not only successful at leading the country, but that people actually like him. These dummies, if you would have paid attention to this earlier, then maybe you could have predicted this amazing, epic sweep that happened that Kamala Harris didn't even stand a chance, okay? You guys failed miserably. Your network is failing. Your attempts to smear Trump is failing. All the pearl clutching of January 6th didn't work before the election. Why the hell would it work now? Are you guys stupid or something? And these people are so upset. They're so upset at the Americans for liking Donald Trump.
They don't seem to have learned the lesson, Eric. And when you've got Trump hater Jim Acosta moving to the midnight slot, when you've got Jake Tapper getting lectures from the CEO of CNN about being more open-minded, what does that tell you about the content that people actually want?
Well, first of all, bad news, Jim. Every time slot on CNN is a bad time slot. So it doesn't really matter where you go.
Oh, man, this gives me life. They don't know what to do. So instead, they're just like, look, we don't know what to do. We're going to keep pearl clutching. They got their own people telling them like, hey, be less Trump deranged. Imagine your boss coming up to be like, hey, man, look, you need to calm down with the Trump derangement, bro. You're like, you're killing our ratings. We're going out of business. Anyway, guys, look, do you think CNN can make a turnaround? In my opinion, you got these same people. It's not going to happen with these same people. I think Tapper could do it, but Acosta, oh hell no. Abby Phillip was doing it before, but now she kind of wilding out a little bit and she kind of coming out her shell. I don't think she's going to put that back in the box. Let me know what you guys think. Drop a like on the video. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. I appreciate y'all watching The Black Anomaly. Rise up, channel. I'm out.
I guess what they want, the American people want, is for us to just present the news and then let them decide what to think about it. I know, it's terrifying.
It's a question. Mr. President-elect.
Go ahead.
Mr. President-elect, since you are attacking our news organization, can you give us a chance?
Your organization
You are attacking our news organization. Can you give us a chance? Can you give us a question?
Don't be rude.
Can you give us a question?
I'm not going to give you a question.
Can you state categorically?
You are fake news.
Sir.
You are fake news.
Sir.
This is CNN. This is the news.
You are fake news.
Sir.
Thanks for the clarification, Mr. President. When you continually lie to your consumers, they will eventually find another source to consume. More layoffs to come.